You got the thing you wanted. You got the grade, you got the degree, you got the relationship, you got the big achievement that you've been chasing for so long. And then for about 48 hours, it actually feels really good. And then that emptiness came back, and maybe even worse than before. And then somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this thought that keeps repeating, was this it? Is this it? And then you do what most people do. They set a bigger goal. They chase a bigger dream. And then you tell yourself this lie that you need more success, more recognition, more achievements. You need more proof that your life actually counted for something. But nobody tells you the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. You're probably wondering, like, what is wrong with me? I keep chasing these things and they keep leaving me feeling empty. That you see, the thing is you're just chasing the wrong things. I mean, you may have the right reasons for doing it, but you're just chasing the wrong things. And today we're going to kind of walk through a little bit of that. So if it is your first time here, welcome to Lionborn Studios. My name is Cole, and this show exists because I believe that there is one question that every single human being has underneath the surface of everything. I think it's a question that drives a lot of their ambitions, a lot of their relationships, their breakdowns, and just their genuine fulfillment in what they've experienced. And I believe that there's one answer that actually holds all of that. We're back. So we're going to walk through a lot of that question together, and we're going to do it through honest conversation and kind of give you some details and examples to help you follow along. We're going to be breaking down a kind of truth that isn't always comfortable, but will always fulfill you, unlike any other thing here on earth. And I want to be very clear, this is not some sort of fan page. I'm not here to have you follow me everywhere I go. This is a movement, and I am encouraging you guys to join this along with me as we journey through this. So jump on board. Let's go. First, I want to start off by asking you guys a very simple question. Not actually, it's actually kind of complex, but I want to ask you guys this question. So underneath all of it, underneath all the goals and the relationships and the hustle and the scrolling that this world provides, my question is, what are you actually looking for? Sit with that for a second and actually think about it. What are you actually looking for, and what are you actually living for? And I'm not talking about surface level things like, oh, I want to be successful, I want to be happy, or I want to make an impact. I want us to go deeper than that. Because here's what I've come to believe. The more that I've studied psychology, theology, philosophy, and overall just human experience, I have become more convinced that through studying all of these things, I have become more convinced of this simple thing, that every single human being, their biggest need or want is to matter. And it's not just to be alive or to just be comfortable or to live their life. Their biggest human need and want is to matter. They want to know that their existence counts. They want to be seen, they want to be valued, and they want to be loved. And that one very need, if you think about it, sits under everything that we chase. Why do we want to be loved and to belong? Why do we want love and belonging? Because we want to know that we matter to someone. Why do you think we chase achievement and status and success? It's because we want to know that our efforts count for something. One of the biggest questions that people often ask is, why am I here? Because a purposeless life is not a life that is worth living. Why do we want legacy? Why do we want our children to carry on? Why do we want our name to be remembered? Why do we want our work or whatever that we're doing make a lasting impact after we leave this earth? Why? It's because we're making a bid beyond our death. And even some of the darkest things like rage, revenge, they all are tracing back here. Because you often heard the adage of hurt people, right? And a lot of times that's because hurt people are not seen. It's because they feel invisible. People begin destroying themselves or even others when they begin to believe that their existence doesn't matter, when they believe that their existence has no value. All of this is the same ache that's just wearing different clothes. Now, pause. I want to do a quick little gear shift here. So in 2008, Pixar released a movie called WALL-E. Clap your hands if you've ever seen it before. Yep, we've all seen WALL-E. Or just raise your hand or say I've seen it. I can't hear you anyways, or see you. So quickly, in 2008, Pixar released WALL-E, right? Yes, many of you have probably seen it. If you have not seen it, you should go. I recommend seeing it. It's a great film. It's an animation. So on the surface, we see that, right? It'd be like, okay, yeah, it looks just like a kid's movie, right? It's about a little robot cleaning up a garbage-covered planet. And we see that he's by himself. There's no people, no civilization at all. There's just one machine that's doing the same thing day after day after day, right? And he's all alone. But we see that in the middle of all of that, he finds something that is actually worth holding on to. And most audiences cried. I don't cry a lot in films, but this one was emotional. And my eyes started sweating, if you know what I mean. It's the reason I started crying wasn't because it was just about a robot or it's a sad kids movie. That's not why. Well, for some people, it might be why. It's okay. It's because they recognize something underneath all of it. It was that feeling of reaching, that feeling to hold on to something, knowing that, to reaching to know that your existence matters. This isn't just some sort of like kids movie that was going out there. It was actually more like a mirror. And the reason, it's interesting why the reason that like the culture keeps coming back to that ache, they keep making films about it, they keep producing songs about it, they keep building industries around it, it's because we can't stop feeling that. There was a guy named Viktor Frankl who, I think I said, is it Frankl? Let's say the L is silent. I don't know. I'm going to say Frankl. Viktor Frankl, he was a Jewish psychiatrist who was actually taken to a Nazi death. I need to take a break. Who was taken to a Nazi death camp during World War II. And during the camps, he unfortunately lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his writings, his manuscripts. He lost his freedom. But here's something interesting. In the middle of all of that horror, he observed something that would change the rest of his career. You see, what he found is that the people who survived these camps, they weren't necessarily the most physically strongest. What he found is that the people who survived were actually the ones who had the most to live for. He came out of that experience and wrote one of the most transformational, inspirational, whatever type books that you want to call it in the 20th century. I actually have it right here. This isn't it, is it? That's not it. This is it. It is by Viktor Frankl. It is A Man's Search for Meaning. I highly recommend it. In this book, one of his core arguments is that the primary human drive is not pleasure. It's not even survival. It's the will to meaning. It's that desperate burning need to know that your life counts for something. Even in suffering, like especially in suffering. And you're like, oh, okay, go. This is a very heavy Christian perspective, but Victor, he was not a Christian. But it did point to something that was true, that you were built to matter, that you were made for more. And I think deep down, built all around that, deep down, you already know that. And here's what I want you to hold on to before we go any further. This is not a self-esteem problem. This is not a mental health problem. This is a design problem. You were wired for significance. And the reason that this ache hasn't gone away is because you haven't actually found what you were created for, what you were wired for. So let's quickly break down. So what does this world have to offer? Let's just start there. So what are the answers that culture hands you when you ask, what is my life worth? What is my life for? What am I living for? Let's walk through these because, again, I want to be very clear here. When I mention these things are not inherently evil or inherently bad. And they're definitely not inherently wrong to want. But I do want to demonstrate and to show you that each and every one of these things, I promise you, they will always come up short. So let's start with number 1, achievement. You set a goal, right? You set this lofty goal to achieve something. And let's just say this for a second. You hit the goal, boom, I got it, let's go. And then for a moment, it feels like proof, right? Like, wow, this is like proof that I'm capable of doing this, proof that I actually matter, and it's proof that you're worth something, that your effort measured up to something. Let's go. But guess what happens every single time? That feeling fades. And then what do? You go and you set a bigger goal right after that. And then what happens? The finish line always seems to move away from you. It keeps getting further and further and further and further away. Because the trophy was never actually what you were looking for. If you pause and be honest with yourself, if you're an athlete or whatever, the trophy was never what you were actually looking for. The trophy is representing what you were looking for, and it's proof. You were looking for proof that you matter. And let me tell you something, guys. A trophy cannot give you that. It never will. So that's the first thing. What's the second thing? That's right, correct. It's validation. That's number 2, validation. You see it all the time now, especially with social media, with the likes, the followers, the comments, just being noticed, being praised, being wanted, being chosen, being seen. I'm not gonna stand here and just be like, oh, social media is genuinely evil. If you actually think about it, the need for recognition is actually as old as humanity. But what social media does, guys, is social media engineers a perfect stimulation. Guys, I can't read. What social media does is it actually engineers a perfect simulation of that feeling, right? It simulates that feeling of being seen. Think about this for a second, right? What social media does is it engineers a perfect simulation of that exact feeling, of the feeling of being seen, while you invisibly invisibly are unseen, right? It's like it makes you feel even more invisible is what I'm trying to say. Because the truth is, guys, is you can have 10,000 followers on social media and you can still feel completely unseen and unknown. Because the reality is being watched is not the same as being known. All right, the third thing. This one's a little interesting. It's relationships. Relationships. Honestly, this is one of the hardest ones to say because relationships are genuinely one of the most beautiful things about humanity and human life. It's one of the most beautiful things. Because even the best people, the people that you love, that love you back, the people you know and know you deepest, people you would do anything for, guys, the truth is they are all flawed. Every single one of them is flawed, and they are finite, and they are temporary. You cannot make another human being carry all the weight on top of them just to prove that you matter. It's not fair to them, and it won't work because the truth is they're just as broken and searching as you are. We're all flawed. Not saying that you can't trust anybody, but what I'm saying is you can't put all of that on that one person. Fourth one, drum roll please. Legacy is the fourth one. We all kind of, you have that deep sense inner feeling of you want to build something that outlasts you, right? And that's a good thing. Whether it's like your work, your children, your art, your impact, all these things are all really good things. And, this one feels closest to the answer because at least it's pointing toward eternity, right? This one's not something where it's just and it's also not just solely focused on you. You're also focused on other people that you're trying to impact. So that it's better than a lot of the other ones. But here's the problem, guys. You're still a finite person that you're trying to solve an eternity-sized problem. Let's say it again. You are a finite person trying to solve an eternity-sized problem. And not only that, you're trying to solve the problem with finite tools, and it's never going to work. Ever. Right? Whatever you build, that building that's just going to crumble. It's going to fade, right? Because the reality is that the things that we see now, all of this, it soon will be gone. It will be destroyed. But the things that we cannot see, those things will last forever. Because the reality is you think about your own children, right? Your own children are going to make their own choices. So, legacy is not always there. All right, the fifth and final one. Here we go. It is... Give it a guess, give it a guess, give it a guess. Incorrect, it's not that one. It's actually status. It is status. Why? You see, the more that you try and achieve and climb this invisible ladder, the room always gets bigger. I thought my mic just turned off. The room always gets bigger. There's always going to be more wealthier people, more recognized people, more experienced people, more respected people, more accomplished people. The status is a ladder that has no top rung. It has no top rung. And the people who keep climbing the people who climb the highest, you know what they're going to tell you? It's lonelier up there than it looked at the bottom. It's pretty lonely. I said that all these things are not inherently evil. And I do mean that. Achievements, relationships, legacy, recognition, all these things are good. I mean, they're actually beautiful things even, some of them. But I say this again and again, they're all too small. You're trying to fill an ocean-sized hole with a cup. You're trying to scoop all that water and the water can't fit in the cup. I'm not saying that this cup is bad. It's just that it was never designed to do that job. And there was a guy named Solomon in the Bible. Solomon actually began to understand this. And I want to kind of walk you through who Solomon was. So Solomon, he was actually the wisest, wealthiest, and most accomplished king in Israel's history. I'll say that again. The wisest, wealthiest, and most accomplished king in Israel's history. And scripture describes him actually as a man who had more wisdom, right? He had more wisdom, wealth, relationships, more creative output and legacy than any human being of his era. And he's honestly even wealthier than a lot of the wealthiest people today. And then he ran this experiment. He literally ran this experiment of, will this make me feel like I matter? Sound familiar? If you pause and think about this, he had everything. He pursued everything. He even achieved everything. At the end of a life that, most people would trade their soul for. You know what he wrote? Listen to this. This is what he wrote. He says, vanity of vanities. All is vanity. Essentially what he's saying is meaningless. All of it. Meaningless. So the wisest, richest man who ever lived, he came back with a verdict after chasing all these things, and he literally said they're meaningless. And he said they won't do it. Okay, now when he says meaningless, I want to be clear. It's not that they're worthless, right? We're not saying they're worthless. It's not because they're worthless, put it that way. It's because they were never the point. Everybody, take a deep breath with me. So where does this leave us? If the ache is real, and by the way, it is, and everything the world has to offer, if all of that comes up short, right, and it does, and it will, then what? Right, so I want to be clear here. So you guys have probably heard of C.S. Lewis. You guys have probably heard of C.S. Lewis. So C.S. Lewis says something that I often come back to constantly. I have one of his books here somewhere. Well, obviously, and I also have, there's more over here too. But C.S. Lewis says something that I come back to constantly. I'm going to read it to you. C.S. Lewis said, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." I'm going to say it again. If I find myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. If you have a hunger that nothing in this world can fill, the most logical conclusion is that the hunger is a malfunction. Something's wrong with me. He's concluding that we were made for something outside of this world. Because honestly, unless you do, this would be interesting, but you don't hunger for food that doesn't exist. Like, man, I'm really, really hungry for whatever. No. And you don't thirst for a world without water. I'm thirsty, but good thing there's no water here. Thank goodness, right? Yep, this is great. No, what does thirst prove? Thirst proves that water exists, that liquid that we put into our bodies, that it exists, right? And so what is that hunger? That hunger is a homing signal, right? This is where Jesus comes into the conversation. I'm gonna pause here because Jesus comes into this conversation not as a religious mascot. He's not coming in as just a moral teacher with just good advice, but he's coming into this as one who stepped in the middle of humanity. He came into this world as a human being. He looked at people and exhausted, and this is what he said. Well, this isn't quoting the Bible. This is just a quote that I summarized. He said, "I know what you're looking for, and I know where it's found." There's a moment in the Gospel of John, it's in John 4, where Jesus is sitting down at the well. It's in the middle of the day. It is scorching hot outside. And he starts talking to a woman that's at this well in the middle of the day. Keep in mind, women typically wouldn't go in the middle of the day. So this woman's clearly avoiding something. And he points out to her that she's been through 5 marriages. 5, right? She's been through 5 relationships. She's been through 5 attempts to find another person. She's been in a relationship to find something that keeps slipping away from her. And it's just interesting because in this moment, Jesus does not shame her. He doesn't lecture her. He doesn't give her some sort of self-help plan. This is what he says. He says, "Everyone who drinks this water," meaning the water in the well, says, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst." He says, "Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." So we see first that he named the ache, right, that this water will never fill you, before he gave the answer about his water leading to eternal life. He saw what she was doing. He saw her going back to the well again and again and again. And he didn't call her broken. And he told her that there was actually water that satisfied. Because I wonder how many times that we go back to our well again and again and again, searching for something that we think will satisfy us, but it never does ever. But yet we keep going back to it. When there's someone who's telling us that, "Hey, I see you. I know where you are. I know that you're thirsty. Come to me. I can give you a water where you'll never be thirsty again." You see, guys, this isn't just some sort of a posture of a religious system. This is a posture of someone who knows what you're really going through. It's a posture of someone who knows what you're really looking for. Guys, the design reveals the designer, and the hunger reveals your home. The hunger is pointing you home. So here's where I want to land, where I want to end this. You are not broken for feeling that ache. And you're not broken for going back to the well. You are not weak for wanting a life that counts. And you're not weak or shallow for chasing significance either. You are a human. You are designed. You're fearfully and wonderfully created. And your desire is one of the most important things about you, right? Because your desire is pointing you somewhere. But the thing is you are responsible for what you do with it. Here is the lie I want to keep pointing out. There's this lie that says, keep chasing, keep striving, keep performing, keep building your platform, keep accumulating your achievements, and then eventually that satisfying feeling is going to come. But guys, if we're all being honest, it never does. Or if it does, it is there temporarily. But then like everything else in this world, it just fades. We keep believing the lie that eventually it's going to feel like enough, but it never will. It won't. It never will. I mean, like I told you earlier, even Solomon pointed this out. He had everything you could possibly imagine. He had it all. He did it all. And he says it's not enough. As a fact, he said it's meaningless. The truth is that this ache is not going to go away by filling it with something else. It's not going to go away by filling it with the same thing. How does it go away? It goes away when you find out what it has been pointing to all along. And honestly, like, guys, this is exactly what this show is about. This is not a self-improvement show. This is not motivation. It's not even transformation. Because, guys, honestly, I cannot transform your life. I can't do it. And there's not going to be really any sort of motivational podcast person, influencer that you're going to watch that's ever truly going to be able to transform your entire life. But Jesus can. All I can do is point you to him. What Lionborn Studios' goal is to do is to make content and films that point you to the person who can hold you, who can fulfill you, who can satisfy you. And honestly, it's even greater than all of that. I want to say something directly to you if you're brand new here, which is like every single one of you, or at least a lot of you probably. You're not watching or joining some sort of fan base. That's not what this is. And you can be like, Colby, you're building a platform. I'm not building a platform for my own sake. You can tell me that I'm lying, that's fine. So if that's what you want to think. But I'm not building a platform for my own sake. Yes, I am a filmmaker, but I'm a filmmaker on a mission. This mission is to answer the deepest human question that humans carry around. And that question is, does my life actually matter? And my answer is with the only sufficient answer that I have found. The only sufficient answer I have found. If any of this has resonated something within you, I encourage you to come with us. To join me, to hop on board, to hop on this ship as we travel to this destination. Again, this is not a fan base, this is a movement, and we are just getting started. Here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to be honest with yourself, okay? Be honest with yourself about what you're actually running toward. Stop lying. What are you running toward? And I don't want some surface level answer. I want you to go deeper into all of this. And then I want you to ask yourself, has this actually delivered? Or will it deliver? All right, that is the end of this episode. We'll see you next week for week number 2. If it is your first time here, thank you for watching. I encourage you to come along with us. Come join us on this amazing journey of life. Hop on board as we travel towards our destination. And go ahead and comment what your well is. And then I will see you in episode 2, The Counterfeit. All right, everybody. That's all I got. As always, keep the faith.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light,